What's up, guys? How you doing? This is today's Squatch thought of the day. Here it is, Monday, the 18th. I want to talk to you. First of all, I want to start this off with, when you share your research, when you share your advice or your opinions, do you have anybody specific that you try to direct your do you have a specific audience you try to direct your information to? Well, I do. First of all, I have a couple different audiences. I always share my findings and my opinion with other fellow researchers, or those who involved, the enthusiasts, those wanting to learn and try to gather their own knowledge, to draw their own conclusions. However, I believe in spreading awareness, and by doing so, if we're going to spread awareness, we already know people involved in the Bigfoot community already have, some of them have a fixed opinions or a solid fixed belief. Well, by spreading awareness, you got to reach outside of that audience. I love talking and directing my information to non-believers, skeptics, because, they're the hard-headed ones. I can be hard-headed myself, since I'm very objective on a lot of different things, even though I'm a knower. I'm not just a believer, I'm a knower. So yeah, when I do radio shows, I've been on numerous radio shows where I've been interviewed, and I was very impressed with the most recent one that I was just involved in, because the host of that radio show, he's a skeptic, and his audiences, they're probably a majority of them are non-believers or maybe skeptics themselves. So when I was interviewed and asked a lot of questions, I was actually pleased to share the information that I did share, for the very fact that by sharing the information that we have, that we obtain and gain over time, will get them thinking. That's how we spread awareness. And but we have to be careful, because the non-believers and the skeptics, they're the ones that like to joke about the subject. They like to mock and ridicule. So I presented my belief, my opinion, and also shared a very objective view with them. And I hope the little bit of information I had the privilege of sharing with them, and how to look at things, and I address a couple of very common questions about where are the remains of Bigfoot, why don't we find remains, typical common questions among skeptics and non-believers. And I was able to share a little bit of information about that. And again, hopefully it might get somebody thinking out there. And so if we're going to present ourselves and open ourselves to the outside public, we need to show them that we have a sincerity with an objective scientific approach, if we want them to consider us serious. So, also, it's important to show other people our dedication, our passion. And for example, I'm self-taught in a few other subjects, as some of you guys heard. I like to research and study biology, ecology, primatology. Those are primary topics of study that I think we should all consider learning a piece of, in order for us to show and understand how we compare wildlife with the unknown. Because remember, if you're going to go looking for something unknown, you have to learn and understand what is known first. And there's a lot of adults out there that have a lack of information, have a lack of awareness, a lack of knowledge, a lack of education when it comes to known wildlife. A lot of people misinterpret, misidentify. And that's where there's a big error in this. If you think you can identify a bear track and call it a cat track, or a cat track and call it a canine track, or a possum track and call it a juvenile Bigfoot track, then you have a lot to learn. You're misinformed. And that's the God honest truth. I'm not trying to attack nobody. This is everybody. This is observations that I have come across numerous times. Just because you get out in the woods and you see tracks, you think you know them when really you don't. Pick up a field guide. I like to address a lot of the younger people, because a lot of the younger people, they fail to understand these things. Sometimes with the younger generation, some of these younger generations growing up and getting involved with this, they never had the privilege of getting out in the woods, learning nature and wildlife as most of us have. So that's why it's very important for us to spread awareness and share information the way I do. Some people take offense the way I present my information, because it sounds like I'm preaching and talking to a bunch of elementary school kids. And I try not to put it that way. I try to keep things simple as possible, because I know a lot of people that listen to me are older adults. And, again, I try to address my information for those who are new and getting involved with this. They need a starting point. And the starting point is become aware of your wildlife. If you have an area you want to start researching in, become aware of what is inhabiting that location. Study those animals. Two primary animals you should study right off the bat are bears and primates. Apes, gorillas, chimpanzees. Understand their vocalizations and why they vocalize. Their behaviors, tracks, etc. So, with this all being said, open up your audience. Show something. When they ask for a reference, provide it. Don't just tell a story. You guys have a good day. Keep it squatchy. This is my Squatch thought of the day.